Johnny, thanks for letting us meet here again this morning. At our last meeting, we were still calculating out y'all's last economic proposal, and there's some other things from the last meeting that we're going to touch on a little bit later.
Okay.
What I want to hand to you first is what our costing is of the economic proposal. So I'll let everybody get a hold of it, and then I'll start walking through it.
There you go.
So we costed out the salary increases with your proposed increase of 8,344 across the 4 years, including a 3.45% step progression between steps and a 0.5% increase between ranks, and that came out to 31,542,838. The dog handler pay proposal you put forth came out to 61,866. The on-call compensation, which we've already TA'd, 94,720. You guys increased our proposal on the assignment specialty pay from 155 to 175. So that increase from the current rate right now at 125 would be 633,903. The driver operator assignment pay at $50 a month, that would come out to 305,649. The overtime increase for Thanksgiving and Christmas Day, 1,469,186. The potential for catastrophic leave, we calculated based off of your proposal at 175,287. The wellness program, 178,600. The convention delegate leave, we calculated that out at 1,076 hours, 327,851, and also including a one-time stipend for the firefighter ones in the first year of 117,062. The total contract cost $34,906,962. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a good sized contract there. We do have a counter to it,
Okay.
which I can hand to you. It's quite a bit because it has some proposals.
Can I ask a question real fast? It has to do with the wage scale.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate you guys costing that out. We just wanted to see how the math works. But we're good in everything years 2, 3, and 4, but in year 1, we are really far apart.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just curious how you guys came up to 5.1 million.
We did continue the cadet classes, right? The first year, 22 for each class. And we went with the full complement. So like I think right now there maybe only be 97 firefighter ones. Or that's what it was a month ago or something ago. I don't know if it's the same or so we went with the 115 that's authorized all the way through firefighter 2, 242, 13 battalion chiefs. Took the steps that at about a month ago, took the step like there was 25 firefighters in step one, and we just carried that forward. But year one is really more than 8%, because if you mess with the,
Yeah, it's 8.39.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
I think maybe we can have more than that, but in totality,
It
when you
ain't much more than
look at all the steps and the 3.45 increase between each step,
Oh, 8.345?
yeah, and
Okay.
the 0.5% additional from the end of the rank above it. So that all that has a little effect on it. But the big,
Right,
the biggest difference, I don't know if you use the full complement.
We're actually using what we have,
Okay,
which is 481, right? And to us, it's a simple math problem. You take what you have, you know what the personnel line is. It's 49,700,000. Is that right?
yes, 497. yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's how we come to the 497K per 1%. Inside of that 49,700,000 is 11,100,000 in pension, 4,200,000 in overtime and ad pays, I guess, I don't know. And then in salaries, it's about 36 million. I may be off on that one a little bit.
Okay.
And that's how you get to the 49,700,000. Overtime, ad pays, drag up, pension, the whole shebang. At 481 personnel, we calculate that first year $1,050,000 less than this. The only question we have is, what are we missing? If our complement is 455, that's our complement. We're above our authorized complement. We understand that. We're at 481. We have 59 cadets, well, 58 now. We have 58 cadets, and as those cadets peel off, become firefighters, there'll be cadets that fill that hole and people who retire. That number is going to stay constant. Let's just call it 500. That number is going to stay fairly constant, and it has under Peter's leadership. It's stayed it's actually grown. So, where's the $1,050,000?
Well, we have to go back in caucus and look closer at your numbers, but the 481 minus 58.
Why are you minus
Cadets.
58?
Well, because that's what actually firemen in ranks, less the cadets. But we're saying there's going to be 449, 455 less the chief and the deputy and assistants.
Well,
Because by the time
that's even better. It makes the number even lower.
No, I don't think so. Because we're adding the cadets back in, but we're saying there's a full complement. So you got 449 instead of 423 in ranks that are making more than cadets. So we would say 449 plus 44, 2 classes of 22 always
That's
ongoing.
493.
Yeah.
We costed ours out at 481, and it was only 4.1 million in that first year on that same pay scale. Now,
Yeah.
help us understand where's the $1 million,
Well,
the $1,050,000.
I'm thinking a lot of it is in you costed it out at 481, but at 59 cadets, we're costing it out at 449 in actual ranks, that the firefighter 2, all those ranks are going to be fully staffed when these 59 come out and we continue with the 44. So I had to look at the calculation to compare them, but I think that makes a
So,
with $1 million bucks. But
so
it
you're
makes-
looking into the future? We have to have a starting point, right? Whatever that number is, Michael, whether it's 481, 449, 493, whatever that number is, we already know what the 1% is. If we were talking about our wage scale as it's built today, and we said, hey, we want a 10%, I can tell you exactly what the number is going to be on year one. It's 4.97 million. Right? Nothing changes. You're not going to try to add personnel here. If we're adding personnel, I think it's only fair that we account for the attrition as well. It has to be. All things being equal, you have a certain point in time where you say, this is your number. You already told us that, 497K. Okay, we understand that. We also have to, in all fairness, say what is our complement? I've asked you for the numbers 3 times, and every time it's really the same. 480, 481, 482. Okay, that's a real number. That's how many people we have today. Actually, it's about 480 today. We know that number. If you take all things being equal, and you say, what is your base salary cost? That number's 32 million and some change. Just base salary, not pension, not overtime, none of that stuff. Just base salary, right? We just want to talk the same language. We're talking the same language in years 2, 3, and 4. What's so different about year 1? Why is it $1,050,000 difference? Just help us understand it, because I don't know what's going on there. But if our number is constant, 481, we know what our budget is. We know that we spend X on base wages, and I'm just going to say it's 33 million. If you take 33 million and you add 8% and you do this step restructure, right? That number becomes 35.5. I'm just making up numbers. 36 million. Well, right there, that tells me it's only $3 million. It's not 5 million. How did you come from 33 to 38? And it doesn't correlate anywhere else in the equation. That's all we're trying to understand. We believe we have a really good understanding of the Moody math concept, the 497, the 1%. We're throwing a little bit of a curveball with the rank restructure, but we think it's better. It not only solves an issue inside of our entire rank, but we think it's cheaper. Now, granted, an 8% could be an 8.39 and 8.7 that first year. We get that. It's not $1,050,000. If we were 100,000 apart, okay.
Yeah.
But we're $1 million. That's a lot. We just want to know where that's at.
We probably need to look at it a little closer.
Okay.
Look at it closer.
So Johnny, excuse me. I mean, to your point, I think maybe we could caucus and take a look at the numbers a little bit. But you said, are we looking in the future? Well, yeah, we have to plan for the future. We're not planning for new positions. Although at council yesterday, we talked about it. You saw we made a commitment. Council approved the commitment to apply for a grant for close to 80 new firefighters. So that's not being included in here. However, that is a big add to the fire department. Like Eddie said, we have 449, plus we have the 2 academies, about 44. So that gets us to 493. And that's what we have to plan for. That's what we're going to have. And I think that does account for your attrition. We have people coming off and people going on, but at the end of the day, we have to budget for the 449 plus the academy of 44. And that academy might be more. We might do 50. And so that's something that on the city's end, we do have to eat because we're not planning for the 50. But there's times that we do hire above the 44 in the academy, so that at the end of the day, we do come out of an academy with 44 or 40, whatever it might be. So if you want us to take a closer look at that, more than happy to. We could caucus, but as far as explaining that number of 493, that's where we're at right now.
Okay, Mark, and we appreciate that, and I just one question, right?
Sure.
If the number's 449 and you're adding 44 and it brings it to 493, where's the attrition? If you're gonna add the cadets, why are you not taking attrition out?
Because it is eaten up by drag up every year. The drag up is 900 to 1,200,000 in that range every year.
I thought drag up was in the 4.2 million.
No. The 4.2 million and
Overtime, ad pays, and extras is what you said.
we'll take a look at that.
Okay.
Yeah, make sure that.
We understand you, and trust us, we appreciate the things that happened in council yesterday.
Right.
Right, it's a huge step in the safety of not only the firefighter, but the citizens of this city. But if you're going to add something that's not here, you should take away something that hasn't happened yet. That's just, to us, that's fair.
So, Johnny, I mean, I think that's what we're doing. So we, the goal is to have the 449, and this is, it's not an exact science when you're trying to, it's very complicated. I know you know well, and maybe Chief Page could jump in here, but when we're trying to have exactly full complement in fire and police, it's challenging because you have people that go through the academy, they fall out, so we have to overhire and estimate how many people will drop out of the academy. So we think at any given time, we have the 449, we have the academy. The 44, I think, is honestly a little conservative. We typically try to go a little higher. In the past couple of years, we get requests from the fire chief to have a bigger academy, and that's typically approved because we know we have people that drop off. So the 493 really should be a little higher, but we feel that's fair. We feel that's a good number. But we're more than happy to caucus, take a closer look, and get back to you.
Okay, and again, if the cadets are 44, and you say that accounts for attrition, then why does the number go to 493? Why does it change from 449? That's our only question. While you're at caucus, would you just take our wage scale and do the 8344 and tell us what the numbers are?
The straight 8344 without.
On our current scale.
Yeah.
Can we get the counter before we go to caucus? Gives us something to
Absolutely.
talk
Yeah.
about. This was just a costing sheet, right?
Yeah, that was just
Discuss.
So, just on our counter on this point, the salary proposal is 8234 with a 3.25% step progression and a 0.5% rank increase, and it builds out from there through the 4 years. The dog handler pay, we have a counter to y'all's proposal, which was 1 hour of overtime on days off. This would come out to 1 hour of, or I'm sorry, a half hour of overtime each day. There's a- The on-call compensation, that remains the same, as we TA'd that provision. The adjustment for specialty assignment pay, this one factors in a pay amount of $175 as the monthly payment. One extra thing in this proposal, if you turn to the last page on page 3, there are going to be training requirements for those receiving water boat rescue station assignment pay under this specialty assignment pay. It mimics the language of what's been required of the rescue station assignment pay. Basically, the city's going to offer training courses, I guess, within the next year or so, and get everybody certified that needs to be certified on there. In addition to that, we have a counter to your definition proposal. Which basically defines a water rescue station as any station with a motorized vehicle with the Texas Department of Wildlife. That's registered with the Texas Department of Wildlife, Parks and Wildlife. We also have a counter to your catastrophic leave proposal. This language actually mimics, it creates a leave pool. And it kind of fleshes out the use of the program, who's entitled to use it. It does create a mandatory pool where every firefighter will contribute 8 hours of sick leave. Initially, if there's not sick leave available, then 8 hours from comp time or vacation leave. It does have a max use of 384 hours for operational firefighters and 280 hours for non-operational firefighters per calendar year. And then it also creates a catastrophic leave pool committee, which would include the fire chief, one of the assistant chiefs, and the association president to kind of review all requests all requests that come for sick leave pool hours. One of the things that I wanted to clarify in this as well is this is only applicable to illnesses or injuries of a firefighter. It doesn't relate to any family use for care of family or anything like that. And this also doesn't apply to any firefighters that are currently receiving workers' compensation benefits. And also places requirements. These are very similar to what's in the city policy as far as medical documentation. They have to be under the care of a licensed physician. And all the one other thing too is the request for hours from the pool. Those should be requested prior to access. I mean, obviously it's going to be prior to access, but it's before their leave hours start running out, they need to request it because no hours are granted retroactively. The next part of the proposal is the voluntary wellness program, which is identical to what you guys have set forth.
Hey, something we can TA.
Oh. That's factored in on the overall costing. Additionally to that, here's the additionally to that, this is a new proposal. This is a new proposal. This one, it's just a simple, it's not economic, but it is kind of tied to this. It's when sick leave is requested, it just evens out the amount of time required for operations firefighters and non-operations firefighters. Right now, under the current language, a non-operation firefighter has to be out 3 days before they're required to submit a physician statement. To put that in comparison to 2 work shifts for a non-operations firefighter, it just evens that out, the amount of time. Okay. And then lastly, this is not a new proposal, but this is part of what we've brought before. The division of the healthcare formularies. Now, I will say that we still have outstanding from the last meeting. We still have outstanding the fire chief's appointments, the 5/8 demotion from from the ambulances, as well as the drag-up pay and the military leave. I can give those to you right now as well.
Okay. That would be
The,
part of your package, right?
right. The promotional, there is one change to the military leave proposal. I think you guys will actually be fairly interested in it. Rather than having the firefighter wait to be promoted until there's a vacancy if they were eligible. So if a firefighter's out on military leave, they come back and test at the next available test, and if they would have been promoted on the test that they missed out on, they're promoted essentially into a provisional position, and they're held at that rank, they receive their pay, their drag-up pay, and they're able to be used. So when a vacancy does occur, they're absorbed back into the complement, and then there's no other promotion until another vacancy occurs. And then, in addition to that, this is the demotion proposal on the 5/8 for firefighters that are riding the ambulances. They'll be able to demote after 5 years or 8 years, as depending on what their rank is. Which is this is the exact proposal that you guys gave to us. And then additionally, this is the exact same proposal on the drag-up use for sick leave. And then lastly, our proposal regarding the appointments of deputy chiefs and assistant chiefs.
Is that all you got?
There is one other, this one is separate and apart. This is just, I want to make sure it's at the table. It's still on everybody's mind.
And that's an old trick. I've seen that before.
This is,
Teaches me I'll never ask you.
That's what
this is the promotions. This is the assessment center for the battalion chiefs, and this is just a change on that.
Is it changing anything from?
It's not
the
changing
last-
anything from the
Okay.
most recent
Okay.
proposal, just keeping it on everybody's mind.
Okay.
And then lastly, this one is, I mean, this one isn't a change, but it is the same as last time, the captain's proposal center, or captain's assessment center.
What is this one?
That one is for battalion chiefs and assistant chiefs.
Oh, okay, bringing them in line with each other.
Yes, sir.
I'm not asking.
Okay.
I don't think there's.
All kidding aside, Gabe.
Yes, sir.
Well, we appreciate the work we gotta do.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely look at that stuff. And are you guys prepared to sign the TA on the 5 and 8?
I think we need to, I think there needs to be an accompanying TA with it, but.
Like what?
I mean, mainly the chief's appointments.
Oh, you gotta be. Okay. Okay, we're looking over the costing sheet. It kind of looks like what we would think it looked like, but, there's things that you're asking for that have a value to the firefighters, and I don't see any negatives in that sheet, so I'm just curious where y'all's thoughts are at on that stuff. You're talking about an association giving up its members' rights for civil service promotions, whether it's through assessment centers or appointments. And I don't see any credits on our side. You've also put forth, the insurance proposal, and I think your actuary's wrong. I did ask for, that costing, and I hope I can get it in the format that I need to see it in, which is, what's written out in the CBA. But I don't see no credit for that either
Well, I mean,
on the costing sheet.
I mean, on the assessment center, that's not necessarily a right that they're giving up. They're still going through the process. It's just an added part to the process.
No, I mean, we're giving up their rights under civil service, 143, to test a promotional examination and giving the city the ability for an assessment center. And it has really, the captain's assessment center is a very minor part of that equation. It's those appointments too. I mean, we're talking about deviating from civil service, and anytime we deviate from civil service, we either make our members' rights better or we make them worse. And it's all a matter of perspective. So we understand that the negotiating is a give and a take. We understand that, right? And you guys have been very forthcoming with us, and we've been very forthcoming and transparent with you guys. Okay, we got some work to do at caucus.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean, just to your point, I mean, I think some of the credits are reflected in the value of this contract.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's surprising to me, because do you guys think that the 5 and the 8, the 9 and 11 to the 5 and the 8 has a value to anybody? It has no value.
Yeah, but I mean, I think with that, I mean, it's changing our ability to make sure that we have, I mean, I understand that the moratorium is there in the contract, but it's still reducing our ability, the city's ability and the department's ability to have firefighters staff those,
Okay.
and for how long they're staffed.
Okay.
And Johnny, I know when you brought up healthcare, you're asking where's the credit on the contract proposal, but I think that's still a disagreement where we don't align on what's in the contract. So what we're proposing is just making the contract from the last year.
I think it's more of a clarification than it is a change. I mean, in the contract, it does say that there's 2 plans.
So, yeah, so to that point, we don't see that as we're just trying to clarify from the last contract proposal, or the last contract to now. And I know we disagreed over the past couple of years. We worked through that together outside of that, and came to an agreement. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, and Gabe and Michael, I think that it should be very evident to you guys that the firefighters are more than willing to work with you guys. In 2020, we stepped out on that limb with you guys on the CDHP, and we haven't looked back. Over the last 3 or 4 years, we've worked with you specifically, Michael, to ensure that what we think is done in a very transparent and fair manner. And you've been more than willing to work with us on that. But I think it was kind of one of the things that was a little concerning about what the actuary did. If you want us to shift to your side on splitting the plan, the 2 options, right? Then there has to be, what's the incentive? If the CDHP, I think one year the CDHP was due a 7% decrease, I think it was.
I think it was 6 or 7.
Something like that. It's been a few years, so my memory's not as good as it used to be, but where's that reflected in the -1 and the 22 that the actuary is proposing? Did he just do the formulary going forward, where's the credit? Where's the, hey guys, we appreciate what you're doing. I think we've been very evident, starting when you guys got here. When Peter got here in 19, we came to the table, 19, we came to the table more than willing to work with you. We need to see something on your side coming back and saying, hey guys, we appreciate your help on the insurance. Insurance is not lost upon us. It's probably the single most costly thing besides wages. Mm-hmm. We understand that. But again, we did step out on a limb with you in 2020, and we haven't looked back, right? We would just like to see some kind of, we appreciate that. And I'm not talking about you saying you appreciate it. I'm talking about you saying, hey, the CDHP is going to see a 25% decrease. That's what we want to see. We know it works, right?
And to your point there, Johnny, I mean, I think that by separating on their own, you're gonna start to see that. This is just moving forward. The credit that would have been given for the past years was split up amongst the plan. So essentially, the CDHP was subsidizing the PPO plan because any decrease they would have received was eaten up by an increase to the PPO because of how the plans were operating.
And Johnny, when we negotiated the last contract, and we do appreciate going out on a limb on the new healthcare plan, we did negotiate that change and provided that credit to the contract at that point. And to Gabe's point, the best practice on healthcare plans is if you have a CHP, then you realize that savings as part of your plan. So you're managing your healthcare benefits in that plan, which results in a lower premium at the end of the day. So that's where the credit starts to realize, is when you have the two separate plans. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to go back to the original contract, and I know we don't agree, we disagree on that fact, and I'm aware of that. But we would like to go back to the two plans so that the employees who are on the high deductible plan realize that savings and are rewarded for their consciousness of managing their health care throughout the year. So that's where we're at. We're not stuck on that idea. That's what we're recommending as part of our proposal. We're negotiating, so we're open to having more conversation there.
Do you off the top of your head know the reserve for the fund balance?
Yes.
We should be planning for 7.8 million, which is the same number I gave you the last.
No, I mean reserve. What's your reserve?
That's total reserve.
I think it was around 3 million. So
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 million.
it's around 3 million.
Yes.
Right.
So it's 7.8, 3.1 is reserve?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
We can focus, yeah.
Okay.
All right, thanks Gabe for letting us caucus. I think when we left our, hour or so ago, we had some questions about the wage scale structure, specifically in year one.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that we can share on the screen so we can see how the mechanics works? Because we do have a $1 million difference.
Yeah, we can share it on the screen, but the 12 difference the difference between the 493 and the 481, if you even say they're all firefighter one, that's 900,000, 12 times 60 plus retirement.
Okay. So I think it comes back to the question of adding something that's not here. I think that's where it kind of comes back to. If all of our math is done on what we had, which is 481, which is above 449 for sure. Okay, I mean, we realize that's what it is. I think it's just a matter of you adding those 44 people and not taking out the 25 that are gonna retire in January. If you're gonna add them, why are you not taking some out?
I mean, I think, kind of like I explained prior to our caucus, I think we are, we have the 449, then we have the 2 academies. At a conservative number, again, the 44 is what we have in the spreadsheet, but I think we might have a little bit more. We typically overhire a little bit there. So it's a balance. I mean, not all firefighters that come off happen early in the fiscal year. It's throughout the fiscal year. And we also have the academy going. So we're not doing both, I think. We have the 49 plus the 44, and that's our number.
Okay. All right. Maybe we can look at it here in a little while. Let me digest that a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Just want to make sure that we're talking about the same thing.
Yes, sir.
The fire chief has always told me that the max cadets that they could hire in Del Mar is 30. How do you get to 44?
I think, are you talking about one class?
Mm-hmm.
So, I think 2 years ago, we had a class of 50. So I'm not sure about that number. So we've had a class of 50 as of a couple of years ago. So
And it was challenging,
it was?
right?
Yes, sir.
And
Yeah.
I know that Chief Mathejus on your team, he was the training chief at the time. And there are challenges with Del Mar when you go over 30, 32, 33 people. I think that year they split the class. That was what they ended up doing.
We try to maintain it at, for lack of better words, a max, max it out at about 36 per academy. In that case, if we hire more, and like we did in 40, for that 42nd academy, I don't remember what year it was exactly, but, I know what year it was, it's like 19.
Yeah.
But, because it ended up being a COVID year, and that's what made it more challenging, of course, with the bigger class, and then we ended up doing a lot of online stuff, so that made it challenging, but, we're kind of bound by the clinical spots in the training, with Del Mar, as far as in the hospitals and stuff like that. So that's what kind of maxes us out at about that 36. So, but we can, like in that case, start one group at fire, start one group at paramedic, and then they bleed over to where their clinical sessions don't overlap, and that's how we're able to do, we could do class up to 72, really, technically. But, like I said, it's just then you're stretching, and when you have that many at one time, so.
Okay, I think one of the other things we'd asked before we went to caucus was just using our wage scale right now. What's an 8% pay raise?
I'm having challenges.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty simple, right?
He tried to
We
log
have
in.
it,
He tried to
yeah.
get logged in.
He's trying to get
Oh.
lost.
We had it on that one. Right at the top of it.
I think it was around 27 million.
No, just the first year.
Oh,
Should be like 3 million,
3.9.
3.9.
Yeah. Yep, it's 3.9 million.
3.9. I mean, that's the same number we come up to, and if we're doing a rank restructure, or step restructure, how does it balloon to 5.1? The answer is we're adding people who don't exist. That's our whole contention, is we don't disagree with the math. I think we're right together. We know what the math is. It's the addition of those 44 people. When what we should be doing, and what you guys have done in the past, and what y'all have done just last year, is It's based on what we have at a certain date in time. Whether the 497 was based on October 1, 2023. That's what you budgeted. So we understand that side of the equation. I think where we're differing is 481 versus 493 on people that don't even exist yet. I think that's where we're disagreeing, so.
So Johnny, when we're looking at the total personnel from the 3.9 to the 5.1, that doesn't change. What changes is the step progression, and that's why it's going from 3.9 to 5.1.
We're seeing year one with the 3.45 step progression at like 10.5% overall as
Okay.
the percent increase.
We can talk about that in a little while.
Okay.
It's not anything I don't think we can get around.
Okay.
So during our caucus, there's a couple of big item proposals in there, whether it's, insurance, appointments, those types of things. But we're ready to TA 5 or 6 of them. What are you guys ready to TA? So I'm going to go down the list, and I think you guys gave us a sick leave and sick leave pool, changing the non-operations to 40. Mm-hmm. We're willing to TA that.
Okay.
Do you want to do them one by one, or you want to do them all together? How do you want to do it?
The sick leave pool, which one is? Which one is
Article 16, this one?
Okay.
We're okay with that. That's fair, though. I will ask you, after seeing this, a couple of things that I've heard, one of the things we might want to do is revisit that sick leave article and change a couple of words, and one of them is the article says that an employee can use sick leave in case of a serious illness or injury to his immediate family, these types of things. We'd like to maybe consider removing that word serious. It ties the fire chief's hands a little bit, and we'd like to see that unbundled. So, but we can look at that as we go along. And I apologize, I don't have something written, but so I'm just going to present it the way I want to do it, right? We'd like to TA your sick leave proposal, the 40-hour. If you're good with that, I'll sign it.
Yeah.
Is that the section 4 one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Article 16, Section 4.
What's today, 10? And this is going to be TA number 12?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the next one we'd like to TA with you guys is Article 2, your definitions. It has to do with the water boat rescue station, redefining that.
Okay.
We're okay with that.
Okay. We're good with that.
You comfortable with it? I'm going to wait on a blue pen.
Okay.
That way you can't make copies without me knowing.
Same reason I'm signing the blue.
Exactly. I had too much coffee. Okay, this will be number 13.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, brother. The next one, Gabe, is Article 10, the supplemental pays. Basically, we've been talking about this for weeks, and I think all you've really done is put in the qualifications for the water boat rescue. We're okay with that. Article 10, supplemental pays.
This one, I think we're gonna hold off because we're gonna try and keep that together with all our economic proposal.
Oh, this one does have the sup pay in it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're ready to TA it. What's the holdup?
I mean,
I
I
mean, I
think
realize it's got an economic cost, but the economic cost on it was
we did get some,
426,000.
yeah, we got some clarification on that. It is a 426,000, but
Okay.
we want to keep it in play just with our
Okay.
overall package, economic package.
Wow. I ain't gonna argue with you about it.
Yes, sir.
The next one is the Article 10, the new wellness initiative. We're okay with that. Or do you got the same issue with that one?
Yeah, we're good with that one.
You good with that one?
Yes, sir.
This will be number 14, Gabe?
Yes, sir.
Did you have extra copies of that one, Gabe, or not? I don't see that.
It should be in there. It's a,
We'll know where we started, right? Started at 12.
yeah, it's the
Put
same
them
one.
in the folder.
No, it's the
Nothing
same
changed.
exact same one from last time.
We're trying to keep them separated out. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Gabe, we got two more we'd like to TA with you. One of them is the Article 32, Section C, which is the 9 and 11, the 5 and 8.
Uh-huh, but only if that one's tied to the fire chief's appointments. That's kind of one of our sticking
Those two things don't combine. Those two things have no correlation at all. None, zero. I mean, this is kind of, the question I asked earlier is, the city has things that they put a value on.
Right.
The association has things that they put a value on. Appointments is one of those things.
Right.
When a firefighter can voluntarily demote is not one of those things. It has zero value to us. It should have zero value to you. There is that safety valve for the fire chief, and maybe the fire chief doesn't understand it. But that safety valve is there for a reason. We wrote it
Right.
together. We understand what it is, and it just, I can't understand the consternation in something so simple.
Right, and I mean, I think we tie value to it too, and that's why that's part of the overall package.
What does the city value the assistant chief promotions at?
I mean, in essence, it's just it's a reorganization. Those promotions are there just to allow the chief the ability to, manage, reorganize and manage the department, more efficiently.
I'm really struggling with it. I mean, I'm really struggling with it. You want the association to give up its members' right under 143 on promotional testing to have an assessment center, not necessarily a bad thing, but it's definitely different than what it is today. And you want to tie that to the 9 and 11, 5 and 8 that has a safety valve for the department and the city. Those two don't correlate at all.
And, you know, my statement to that is, I mean, it's part of the overall package. You know, the reason that we're coming in with such a high economic proposal is that is part of the package and those appointments.
I mean, I'll throw it out there one more time. Give us the 5-8, we'll give you the deputy chief.
Does that,
We're willing to talk about the others. I promise you, we're not closed to the idea. There's no correlation between, we're trying to, in good faith, say, we believe you, right? We're with you. We want what's best for the department. We want what's best for the citizens of this city. We all took an oath to protect this city. If we'll give you the deputy chief, give us the 5-8. You have a safety valve on it. We have no safety valve on the deputy chief. Right? If you want to do that, that's available to you. We'll do it right now. And we're willing to talk about the other 6.
I think it's the other, well, yeah, 3 appointments.
I mean, I don't understand what the consternation is on it. What's, do you not take us for our word? We're willing to talk about it.
Let me talk real quick. Let me just
Okay.
take it.
Talking to Joe. No. Worse.
Oof. I think there's an I in there somewhere. I think it's Matt. Oh, hold on, we can look it up. I'm sure he sent an email. It's M-I, or M-A-T-T-O-T-T. What? M-A-T-T-H-I-J-E-T-Z. That's it? 2 reports.
Our
Should be a single sheet. Section 210. No, we didn't do that. looking right now. Yeah, just give me the same
We're good.
Okay. So, I mean, I think as far as the deputy chief appointment and the 5/8, I don't think we can make that trade right now. I think we need to look at it globally, you know, as far as the appointments, as far as the economic package. I mean, obviously, it's something that's important to y'all, and the appointments are very important to us. I mean, there's a reason why that's why we're making that equation.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, the 5 and 8's not important to us. It's just so simple. What is the difference right now today between what you have, 9 and 11, with a safety valve, and a 5 and 8 with a safety valve?
And I mean, I think the issue.
They're the same thing. It's a shortened time frame, right? Okay, I understand where you're at. I think we had another TA we wanted to talk about, but I think we're going to hold on to it. I think with that, unless you have something, I would suggest let's caucus, let's have lunch.
There's one other item I just wanted to bring. This has to do with the callback policy. This is a callback policy that's towards the latter end of the contract. So this, for the most part, there's a lot of cleanup that's in there, changing from Battalion 1 to Administrative Chief. But the major addition to it has to do with the deployment callbacks. So my understanding right now is that whenever the department sends firefighters out on deployment, there's federal reimbursement for basically to backfill. And I think if the daily staffing is at a certain number, or it would have been, let's just say the daily staffing would have been at 112 that day, what the policy would allow is basically to backfill to that number and not to the minimum staffing. So if minimum staffing is 105, 106, we're actually allowed to backfill to the 112. And all that should be reimbursed through FEMA dollars.
I can talk on this just a little bit.
Yeah.
Johnny, what this is basically, like Gabe said, if we have 112 people on duty today and we had 5 people that are out deployed, we can call back those 5 people that are deployed, and the state will reimburse us and make us whole again at that 112 number, rather than us suffering and only being at 107. And right now, without it having it in a policy, the state won't reimburse us because we don't have that in our policy. So they will only reimburse us if we're have to meet our minimum manning. So and part of this is trying to do it rank for rank, because like if we have several people that are on ambulances that are called out with these ambulance strike teams and WPUs, then we're missing out a lot of medics. They would get called back. If we have a chief or a captain that's deployed, then we could call back specifically to have that captain or that chief back. Not that our captains don't do a good job acting, but if we're missing a chief, why not replace them with a battalion chief or a captain with the captain, rather than having somebody act up. And so just really trying to keep the department whole as to what it would be if that personnel were gone.
And you're talking about rank for rank, only in the deployment sense?
Only on the deployment sense.
Okay.
And if there's not one available, then if there's not a chief that's available that shift, then we'll try to get a captain. It's just we're trying to get rather than have a chief miss and we call back a firefighter 1, the state's going to pay us up to that chief's level, but and it's really just trying to keep the department whole. And if we have a chief or a captain that's gone, or, several ambulance people that's gone, then, we're not calling back just a bunch of other captains that can't ride the box, and then other guys are having to double up on the box. Just kind of still use the same list, the same process and everything. It's just in those situations for the deployment part,
And would the deployments be considered last?
Yes, we could do that. I mean,
Right, what I'm asking is, let's just say that our number, what's our number today, 102? 106. And we're at 104 with 5 guys on deployment. How are you gonna fill the first 2?
Straight off the list.
Straight off the list. The next 3 will be rank for rank.
Now, what we would do is if say one of those first 2 happens to be a chief, and the chief is gone or a captain's gone, we could use one of those as a deployment. That way we're not, skipping over. Like, if we call back a captain as one of those first 2, and then we wouldn't necessarily go down to the list to skip over people to go to another captain if that one captain can fill the deal. The way we're kind of doing it now is since we don't have it in our policy, what we're doing now is they're doing the callback up to the minimum staffing. And as they do the callback down the list, what they're doing is anybody that they call back, if there's a captain, no matter what number they are, plug them in for a captain that's deployed to do the deployment backfill. That way we got it coded that way. So we're just kind of recouping the most cost that we can.
Does FEMA require it rank for rank?
They don't require it, but they allow it. They typically.
So whether you do it
they
rank-
will pay us for rank. Like if we send that captain out the door or a chief, then
But they'll also pay you for not for rank for rank?
They will pay us for not for rank, but like I said, we're just trying to make the deployment whole. We're just trying to make the department whole, for missing these members, because right now we can only call up to 106. We can't, if we have 120 on the shift and we got 10 people deployed.
I mean, I think on the
We just
surface,
miss out on 10 people.
I mean, this is an encouraging proposal, right? Which is, we need to know kind of what we're talking about when we're over the 106, 108, 110, whatever the number is. How does it work? How does it work before that happens? I mean, we're sending guys out the door today, potentially getting FEMA reimbursement up to 106. So the question becomes is, where does that money go?
It comes back to us.
Back to us how?
As a reimbursement through.
Yeah, but when we get it, where does it go?
It goes into our personnel costs.
So it offsets the budget? Okay.
So like if we spend $100,000 on overtime and we got $20,000 worth of deployment reimbursement for, backfilling overtime, then that cuts into our, takes it off of our gives us credit towards our overtime budget.
Okay. The only other question I had on the proposal is the administrative chief. What is that?
That's just kind of the language in terms of if, rather than having battalion 4 in there, if it changes to battalion 1, or if we do get a shift commander, whoever that administrative chief that handles all the sick call, just trying to find a generic term for that. That's,
Okay.
whoever's in charge of handling the sick call in the morning.
Yeah,
We just call it the administrative chief.
I would suggest capitalizing administrative.
Okay. Yeah, I could do that.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. It's, you're gonna add that term to the definitions?
What's that?
Administrative chief?
We can if we need to.
I probably would suggest it.
Yeah. We can do that.
It kind of seems like it goes
Yeah.
together.
Look through it, look it over. We kind of put an example in there, how it would work somewhat, but
Okay, I mean, it's encouraging. Let me talk to my team about the proposal. We want the department to be able to recoup its costs, and if we should have 115 guys on shift, we should have 115 guys on shift. Especially if they're going to pay for it. So we've always tried as an association to stay away from the rank for rank. The higher you go up in the rank, the more this type of proposal benefits you, because there's a battalion chief, if not 2, go every time. So we're saying that you can hire back in a battalion chief, So let us look at it, but we're encouraged by it.
Just touching base, do you guys have any economic counters right now, or are you still?
Sure. Nothing ready right now. We're gonna need some time to digest a few things and but I would anticipate, yes, we will.
Sir.
Caucus?
Caucus.
Gabe, thanks for the long caucus. I mean, we had a lot of information we were requesting from you, and I think we've kind of come up with a package deal. And I'm gonna leave with that. So, first thing we want to talk to you about is our insurance. So, you know, we've been having this discussion now, me and Michael, for 3 or 4 years. You know, talking about premiums and stuff like that. But what we'd like to do is probably something you're not going to expect, and that's 100% conversion to the CDHP. But it's going to come with a few things, you know, and one of those things is going to be on the HSA side. We want to see the single HSA go to 2,000. We want to see the all other HSAs go to 3,600. And we believe that those should be funded out of the fund balance the first year. And that includes actives and retirees. Then we want to talk to you about wages. We really liked the 7.344 model at the 3.35% with a 0.5% between top and start of the next rank. We'd also like to talk to you about a $1,500 stipend for the firefighter ones at the 30-month step and above, and only that rank.
7344.
7344 at 3.35 with a .005 top to start.
And then a $1,500 stipend for firefighter ones at the 30-month and above.
30-month and above on October 1. We also have, you know, those, of course, all the TAs we've already agreed to. I think there's a couple of them in there that are economic. One of them's the on-call. The other one was the volunteer wellness. You guys attached the cost of that of $84,000 a year or something like that. But we'd also ask that we want the dog handler pay. We want it at what we proposed, which was 1 hour instead of the half hour.
Okay.
It'd be our proposal that we presented, I believe, was last meeting.
So dog handler pay at 1 hour, and that's only for days off.
I'm correct.
I believe that's what it was.
Yes,
Yeah.
1 hour on days off.
We'd also like to, we like your specialty assignment pay. I'm sorry. Our specialty assignment pay, but we want to do it at 160. I think we proposed it at 175. You guys had come in a little shy at 155. We'd like to do that at 160. I believe we also gave you a proposal on driver certification pay at $50 a month. I know we had a little bit of discussion this morning. Our idea on the driver certification pay is only for operations firefighters who have that certification, which should limit that number to 66 at any one time, and it'll be a stagnant number.
A lot of operations firefighters that have this.
Yeah, we're saying only firefighter 2 engineers assigned to operations. Yeah. So it'll be a static number of 66, I believe is the number. Yeah. Unless you add an engine or something like that. And then the last one is we want to come back to the catastrophic leave donation that we talked about. We want our proposal, and we're willing to work with the numbers, 24 hours at 120-hour max.
Okay, 24 hours is max donation or?
Max donation to any one person, 120 max, that any single individual could give.
Is that per year, per
year. Right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, so it's basically like our previous proposal at 48 hours by one firefighter with a max of
240.
420. We just kind of cut it in half.
240.
240.
Sorry, 240. We cut it in half to where a single firefighter can donate only 24 hours at a time, up to a max of 120, which allows them to cover 5 separate events, or if a single individual has 5 separate events. So we basically just cut that in half to cut the cost.
I think it goes without saying all previous TAs, most of them were non-economic. So.
Right. Okay, the only question I have on the dog handler pay, and I think because we, in our proposal, we included all days, and the reason being is because even on his duty days, he's still entitled under FLSA to some sort of compensation. And so that's why we came back with what we did, to cover those days.
So under FLASA, he's still entitled to
To a bit of overtime on his
Every
duty
day?
Every day.
What do you do for PD?
PD, they receive $170 per month, and that's under the contract. They're okay with that, plus overtime on their days off.
Just their days off?
Full hour of overtime on, yeah, basically any other day off.
I would think we're okay with, I guess, your proposal, which was a half an hour for every day. We'd be okay with that.
It's a half-hour difference total.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I mean, because y'all had 3 hours, because he's off 3 days, that'd be 3 hours. This was 3.5 hours total.
Okay, we're okay with that. With y'all's proposal.
With our, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't look at it like that. But that's the totality of our package, and see what y'all got.
Nothing on drag up hours, on the hours conversion?
Let's see what you get with this.
Okay.
Let's see what you get with this. I mean, we're making a huge shift in what we've been talking about for the past 3 or 4 years, Michael. You know this. This is a big thing for firefighters, and we're still a little bit concerned about specifically our retirees. So a lot of
going forward with this type of package on that specific article is going to determine the other articles. So we're not totally closed to the idea. It just depends on where you guys are at with this. You know, all this is economic, or the bulk of it. You know, we've made no bones about it that the appointments have a value. The Captain's Assessment Center potentially has some kind of value. That sick leave drag up has some kind of value, you know, so let's see where we're at with this, and then we can talk about the rest of them. One second. This morning you gave us a proposal for callback. Are you prepared to TA that?
Now on the policy on that, yes.
Okay. You ready to TA it though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Y'all need a caucus or?
Yes, but we have a couple questions on the insurance. That is with the understanding the premiums, I think, are supposed to go down. Is that correct? Well,
Yeah, let me ask real quick. So, Johnny, just to clarify on the 100% conversion, that's the way we do it now, right? With premiums, you're not asking for no premiums on that?
Sure.
With,
No.
with premiums, right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, unless that's something you want to throw at us. I mean, we're more than willing to entertain free premiums.
Not right now.
Yeah, we want to see what you do with the package as
Okay.
we've presented it. It doesn't mean that, you know, you couldn't be benevolent and come to us and say that, you know, if with that type of deal, that maybe the premiums go down 10%, 20%, 40%. We're not going to close the door on that kind of stuff. And if you want to give it to us, that's fine too.
Okay.
and I think one other thing, just to clarify, and we'll double check on this, but I don't know that retirees are eligible for the HSA contribution.
They're not.
Okay.
No, we know that.
Okay.
We know that 100%. But the retirees are definitely eligible for the CDHP.
Right.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
And they pay the full rate.
Right.
Whatever that is. And I'm glad you said that. I'm still wanting the formulary as spelled out in our contract that I can see. That it has number 1, 2, 3, I think there's 9 of them?
There's 7.
7.
Yes.
I want to see that
Okay.
on both, if I can. It's just so hard to follow that thing.
It's hard to follow. This one?
Yes.
This is the one I believe they started using back in 2020. Well, it was done, used previously, but there was only one plan, but this is the only format that I'm aware of.
So
I
I
walked
sent-
through it.
I sent 2 emails, one from 19 and one from 18. That has that numbers spelled out. So the contract's very specific. It says number one is IBN, I'm just making things up, IBNR, catastrophic, all these different elements. And then you add those into an equation and it spits out a number that says, hey, it's 10%, hey, it's negative 5%, those types of things. If I need to send them again, I'll send them. We haven't done it, and
I did see that spreadsheet. There were formulas on there that are not, the spreadsheet did not appear to be transparent to me because there were formulas on there that I was unaware of the origin. It also did not take into account 2 separate plans. And there were also some elements on that spreadsheet that no longer applied to our current plan. So I did plug some numbers in there, but what came out doesn't really make much sense because not all aspects of that, whatever is pre-populated in that spreadsheet, still apply because it's 5 years old.
so it should be something that IPS can put together. They're the ones that put that together. They should be able to do it.
It'd have to be something that I'd have to go over back with Hub on that. I'm assuming that was the broker that put that spreadsheet together?
No,
So-
it's Julie.
Johnny, we do have what we use and what Hub sends over per the contract, and we're happy to share that with you.
If we could.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, then I think we're gonna take a caucus at this time and then we'll come back. All right, thanks Johnny for allowing us time to caucus. We do have a counter proposal for you guys, and I'm just gonna kind of walk through this. So the salary increases would be 7% the first year with a 3.25 step progression and a 0.5% increase between ranks, followed by a 3% raise in year 2 and 4% raises in year 3 and 4. And that number totals out to $25,984,889. This package also would include the dog handler pay, which is the same as from previously. It's a half an hour of overtime every day, coming out to a total of $68,506. The on-call compensation pay, which has been the same throughout, that totals out to $94,720. The assignment specialty pay at $160 per month, that totals out to $298,239. The catastrophic leave program, we want to counter that with following the city's policy with a few exceptions to it. Within the city's policy, instead of having to exhaust all leave, they would just need to exhaust all their sick leave before being able to utilize these hours. Just to give you a brief overview of the program, the city's program, and this would be separate for firefighters, so they'd have their own catastrophic leave pool. They donate to the leave pool. They can donate anywhere between 8 hours up to 48 hours. Once again, it doesn't cover any injuries or incapacities due to on-the-job injuries or work-related illnesses. And also any incapacities due to elective procedures. Those aren't eligible under the program. However, if there's any complications that arise from elective procedures, that might be considered eligible. Basically, they have to exhaust all their sick leave and be under the care of a licensed practitioner for catastrophic illness or injury, and they must not be receiving workers' compensation benefits. The reason we think this is a better proposal is because it's a little more objective, it's a little more equitable, it's accessible to every firefighter. How we've costed it out is the exact same way we costed it out on our last proposal at 384 hours. across 3 employees, and that's assuming they're operational firefighters. If it's non-operational firefighters, I think it's only 280 hours max usage. That's 233,196. That's also another part of this package is a volunteer wellness program. So that's the same as our previous proposal as well, coming out to 178,600. That also, moving on to the next item, would be the $1,500 stipend for firefighter ones at step 4, 5, and 6 on October 1st of this year. That's $106,128. And then as far as the HSA, we consider the total migration over to the CDHP with the HSA contributions remaining the same. However, every firefighter or everyone enrolled in the HSA or in the CDHP would receive a $1,500 one-time payment in the first year, and that totals out to $718,500. And then the last part of our package, and this is something that keeps recurring, is the appointments. We've kind of understood that you guys, don't want to move all the way on the appointments. So what we're asking for you is for 6 appointments, 2 of which would include 2 deputy chiefs.
2 more deputy chiefs?
Well, I mean,
Okay, just
yeah,
total.
a
Okay.
total of 2 deputy chiefs. Yeah.
And that would leave 3?
I think that would be a potential to leave 2.
With the reorg.
Yeah, and so the total contract value, based on all the numbers that I gave you, $27,682,779.
27,682,779?
Uh-huh. I'm sorry, 27,682,779.
Okay.
And also, one additional thing would be the drag-up conversion as well.
Man, you had me. So it's nice, it's really nice to kind of see us on the same page, right? But I have a little bit of, I'm curious, what's the holdup on the HSA? We're talking about taking that money out of a fund balance that's double what you need. The city contributes money to it just like the active, all participants put money in that fund as well. I know we've talked about it before, buying down that fund, whether it's through premium reductions or, whatever. At the end of the day, we're probably only talking, you said it was $700K for the 1,500 one time for all participants.
Everybody.
Right.
Did you happen to get what was the cost? What was the cost at 2,000 and 3,600? I'm just curious.
So we looked at your proposal and we countered at the one time. We didn't run a cost on
Okay.
your proposal.
Okay. Coming back to the sick leave donation, I think in the proposal you gave us prior, it talked about for the firefighter only. Is that still a component of your proposal?
Yeah, that's the way.
Only for the firefighter?
Right, and that's the way that the sick leave pool works for the police department as well as the city civilian sick leave pool, catastrophic leave pool.
So just the employee?
Yes, sir.
can you run the HSA as we proposed it?
Yes, would that be a one-time?
Yeah, I think the way we proposed it, it's not a one-time, it's
You want
from
to,
this day
right?
forward. I think the thing is, and Desiree can correct me if I'm wrong, but when we're talking about HSA, the first year specifically, that money's gonna come out of the fund. Every year after that, it's a component of the premium formulary,
That is correct.
okay? So we're talking about 1 year?
Well, no, the HSA contribution is separate.
The HSA contribution is, it's included in the expenditure, when we're putting it into the expenditure. So when we are looking at bringing in revenue and we're looking at expenses, we include the HSA contribution as part of the expenses. So we use that when coming up with increase or decrease to premiums. So it's part of the premium,
Right.
developing the premium.
Okay.
And Johnny, we did look at the proposal, and what we currently provide as contributions to employees is already one of the highest contributions, private sector, public sector. So we're pretty, we feel that that's a pretty fair contribution to employees. That's why when we went back, we took a look at it to see what we could do to meet in the middle. And we feel like providing a one-time $1,500 HSA contribution to all firefighters would allow a employee only to be pretty much at the out-of-pocket maximum October 1, because they would receive the $1,500 one time across everybody, and then they would receive the $1,600 that the city contributes on an annual basis. So it pretty much hits the out-of-pocket maximum in year one. So we thought that was pretty fair.
Okay. Any other questions? Do we have a few minutes? Okay, thanks for the caucus. I think I want to start with the toughest issue, and you guys know that that's the insurance side. We are willing to step out on a limb with you again, you know, and we're a little bit concerned about the HSA contribution. Our way only cost $360,000. Your way was $700,000. We would insist that the any migration to the CDHP is the only option would come with a $2,000 single and a $3,600, I'll call it family, anything other than single, yearly contribution to the HSA, and that first year to be funded out of the fund balance. I think as you guys presented the 7344 at the 3.25 with the 005 top to start, I think we're okay with that. The dog handler, as we've discussed, we were okay with that. The on-call, which has been TA'd, we're okay with that. The wellness initiative, we're okay with that. The specialty at the 160, we're okay with that. The catastrophic leave donation, we want to strike that.
Okay.
In its place, we want the driver certification. We want it at $75 per month. And again, it's only 66 static positions, firefighter 2 engineers that are certified. There's only 66 of them.
You said 75?
Yeah, 75 a month, yeah.
Just, Johnny, just for clarification real quick, on that the driver, the 66 that you're saying they're certified, so we're treating this as certification pay, not as an assignment pay.
I mean, technically, it's an assignment pay because
Yeah.
we're talking about 54-hour operations people, but at the same time, I mean, they gotta have the certification to get it. I don't know. That's for the lawyers to figure out. I mean, is there a real difference?
Well,
Either way, it's only 66 people.
we do have some drivers that are not driver operator certified.
Well, then they don't get it.
Okay.
No.
And that's what I was gonna ask.
But it doesn't mean that they can't get it,
No.
right? Okay.
Because we've been
I-
working on trying to do that by
Yeah.
pulling these guys at
Yeah.
the.
And I think for the
bringing them back
past,
into something.
and I think you started it, you know, this driver's orientation, that's part of their orientation is to get that certification.
Yeah, but
Right.
I'm talking, I think there's about maybe a handful that don't have the certification yet.
But
Some
they
of
could
them
get it.
That got promoted before they started that program.
It doesn't mean that they can't. I mean, will you help them get it?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
we've been trying to put them all through it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the
We've been trying to
department's
get
been
them trained in
very,
that. It's just a matter of, I want
Department's
to make
been
sure
very
that
benevolent.
if we call it certification pay, they don't have a certification,
yeah.
you know. But we can call it the assignment pay with the certification.
Honestly, I think it's kind of sort of both. You know, not only you have to be assigned, but you gotta have the
I
certification.
think it has to be an assigned, we have to cover the word
Yeah.
assigned in there, if not, then, you know, any other captain that, you know, some of y'all are captains already that took the driver operator when you made driver, and now you're captains.
No, that's not what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
We're trying to say that those people in that specific rank with that specific certification are entitled to the $75.
Okay.
That's what we're trying to say.
Okay.
Kind of going down the list, still Gabe, the firefighter one stipend at $1,500, we were okay with that. The sick leave drag up, we haven't talked about that in forever. We're okay with that, it's fair. I mean, that's a benevolence on both our sides. So, and if we need to rehash that, article, just bring it to the table, but we know what we're talking about. It's y'all's proposal.
Right.
We're okay with it. The callback procedure that you brought this morning, we're okay with that. The one thing, I think it was in y'all's stuff you brought us this morning, we didn't really dwell into it too much, but the military article, we would like to see that as well. And then we're going to, we want to see the 5 and the 8 on the demotion. Our proposal. And I think it's important too, I would hope for both of our sides that this doesn't necessarily preclude us from talking about other proposals, non-economic or economic, I guess. I mean, if we can agree on things. But as a whole, you know, this I think is fair for both of us. Oh, I forgot. The assistant chief's appointments. We're okay giving you the deputy chief. We're okay to giving you the administration chiefs. But we are firm in retaining the 54-hour operations chiefs, which means that we want to keep 3 of them.
So 5 of the 8.
3 of however many.
Right, yeah.
Well, I'm saying of all between
And
the deputies.
The
and
answer is yes,
assistants,
but
With the
I think Gabe, Lilia, we're gonna need some help ensuring that, I don't know how you word it, but you couldn't have an operations chief that's on a 40-hour week and you somehow think that that's an appointment. 54-hour operations chiefs, which you're planning to do under the reorg, those will remain tested. And we would need help ensuring that that is worded the way it's supposed to be.
So just making sure that it's, so you want us to word it to where there's 2 deputy chiefs and at any operational chief, 54-hour operational chief, those would remain tested.
The three,
Not the deputies.
the 3 operational chiefs
Right.
remain tested.
Okay.
You can have as many administration chiefs as you want.
Okay.
It's, I mean, you can't have as many as you want, but you know what I'm trying to say. Those 5.
What about movement within the range, right,
that's-
assignment, right of assignment to say, what if it's like the police, their chiefs kind of move around so they get trained in like a lot of different aspects of the field, right? How would that work if you had one tested at administration but later moves into operations?
Yeah, like what if Randy's appointed, he wants to go out to operations, and a guy from operations wanted to come into admin?
Or the chief just wants them to be versed in both?
I mean, if we keep it at 5, just straight 5 appointments out of the 8 positions, the 2 deputies and 3, because there's gonna be 3 admin and 3 operations, just, because, you know, like when the chief makes an appointment, he's not appointing a person to that position as the operations chief or the chief of training. He's appointing them as an assistant chief in the fire department at that rank, and they should be able to, you know, Randy should be able to fill every position in wherever the chief puts them, whether it's in training, fire prevention, operations, or, you know, in the field.
I think our position on it is gonna be the administration chiefs, you can have them as an appointment. The operations chiefs will remain tested. Under an appointment, you're either a battalion chief or an assistant chief already. I'll use Chief Trevino as an example. Chief Urban is an assistant chief, all right? Whether he's moved up to a deputy chief or an operations chief, he's tested. We want him to retain that right, and I'll caution you. Under the statute, 143.014, we fall between that parameter of the 300 and 600 employees. You can test the deputy if you want to. There's nothing that says we have to give it up as an appointment. We've offered it 4 times. You can have it. But it's important that we, as an association and a membership, that we retain those 3 positions in 54-hour operations. That's important.
So if this was to go through, you're saying Chief Trevino would have to go out to the field?
Yeah. Chief Urban too. Yes. I want to circle back just one thing, Michael, on the insurance. Can't overemphasize enough how much it is from us to come to your side, and we have done that. A month ago, I don't know that was possible, you know, just because of our own fears or whatever. But here we are today talking to you about 100% migration, and we know, we understand that it saves all of us money. And it saves you the lion's share. That's just how our insurance works. We're asking on that HSA. And that's going to be, that's important. Our proposal cost half, and it comes out of the fund balance, and going forward, it's a part of the formulary that we all pay. So that's going to be important for us.
Okay. Take a look at
And
it.
it doesn't close the door on other discussions, okay, just so you know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's other proposals that you guys might have. Us too. I don't think they'll be of a huge economic factor.
Caucus and,
Yeah. sorry.
okay. So we're gonna caucus on it, discuss internally, and then we'll come back to, get back here.
Okay.
All right. All right, Johnny, thank you for the time to caucus. So based off of the items that you just discussed, there's a couple things that we want to adjust. So in ours, on the healthcare, we're looking at a one-time contribution, a one-time payment of $2,000 to each firefighter, or to each enrolled employee. On the driver certification pay, and you guys were talking about getting rid of the catastrophic pay. The driver certification pay, we do that at $60 per person, or $60 per certified firefighter 2 engineer. That's based on assignment and certification. The 5/8, we would take that proposal as is. And then the appointments, we would take the 5 appointments, so it'd be the 2 deputy chiefs plus 3 assistant chiefs, but the chief would need to retain the right of assignment.
Okay. That it?
That's it.
In 2020, Michael, we've said this before. We went out on a limb with you with the CDHP, and together we made it work. We're asking you to do the same thing with us this cycle on the HSA, increase to the HSA of $2,000 and $3,600. We'll make it work. That's just our nature. I'm gonna need to talk to my team on a couple of the other things, but don't quite understand the driver cert. We're gonna assist that at 75. I'm gonna need to talk to my team about the assistant chief stuff. We need caucus.
I don't think so. I think I talked to your team about that.
Yeah, I need to talk to the team.
Okay.
Gabe, thanks for letting us caucus. I think when we asked for the caucus, it was to talk about the assistant chief's appointments I needed to talk with my team about. We're pretty firm in our stance. You can have all the assistant chiefs you want in the admin side, but it's important that we retain the operations side. The chief, as has been in the past, has held on to those appointments, not used them, and when he finds somebody he wants, he uses it. But it is important for us that those that are on operations, 54-hour operations, remain tested.
I think for us on that, for the department as a whole, I think it's beneficial to those that are in operations and from both sides that as they're cross-trained throughout, whether it be operations or admin, that they're allowed that movement. And I think that's a key point. To limit it to only one side, it takes that right of assignment away, and I think it's to the detriment of the department not being able to move those between.
Okay.
So right now, on our end, you guys pushed for the $75 for the driver certification. As we discussed, whether with the certification, with the assignment to that position, we're good with that. regarding the health plan, we want to reiterate and go back to what we said as far as the $2,000 stipend. With that 100% migration.
We're talking about 100% migration, abandoning our PPO plan that guys are very comfortable with. The city has yet to produce a document using the formulary. Tell me what you think's going to happen with 100% migration. And we can kill the discussion just by, let's negotiate the rate. Give us a 50% cut in our premiums, 100% migration, a $2,000 incentive HSA for everybody the first year. Let's do it. We're willing. I mean, 4 years ago, we stepped out on that limb with you, and it works. We know it works. If we're wrong, the formulary is going to tell us in July of 25. It's going to tell us, hey, it's a rate increase of 25%, 30%, whatever the numbers are. We are confident that the CDHP 100% migration with a $2,000 incentive HSA that's going to be paid out of the fund, that there is a huge savings in the premiums. We think it's 50%. We don't know. We haven't seen any hard data. You want to do that? Let's do it. Let's do it today. We're ready. We're talking about 100% migration.
And I mean, in reality of it, I mean, it's less than half of your membership though that's actually coming over. I mean, it's.
But it's a huge, I mean, isn't there PEPM over 2,000? We're going to cut it to 900?
It's just under 2,000.
That's $1.8 million.
We don't necessarily know what the PEPM will be, because once we have 100% migration and once that plan runs for a full year, we will recalculate those numbers and then we'll get it, we'll have a new PEPM, and probably the plan will run a little bit higher with the new migration and those additional employees on the
Same
plan.
thing happened to us in 2020, right? We had that initial learning curve, right? I mean, that's to be expected. But after that, it settled itself down, and it's been rock solid. We know what we're talking about.
Yeah, so.
And it may not be 900, but it ain't gonna be 1,900.
Johnny, we ran a scenario that we had 100% migration with our premiums, and I think the annual savings was between $300,000 and $400,000 with level premiums for next fiscal year. Like you just said, we do anticipate in the future that they will most likely go down. Hate to reiterate the fact, but we will most likely see an increase, after we stabilize after year one. But after that, we will see most likely a decrease and level premiums from there if we have the 100% migration. But we did do a calculation, and we're looking at between $300,000 and $400,000 savings to the plan, on the city side of the plan.
Okay.
And with that said, I think that, between $300,000 and $400,000 over the 4 years, let's call it $1.2 million, and we're proposing $2,000 one-time HSA for every employee in the plan. It's about $900,000. So, just so we could talk about rough math. If we don't go in that route and we decide to take that off the table, and let's say we concede and we say, Johnny, let's go to what we've been doing. We don't agree with it, we don't recommend it, but we'll treat it as one plan. We will most likely see an increase in premiums for both plans, between 10 and 12%. I think we shared that data with you. So we have the option we're proposing, which is level premiums for everybody that switches over, 100% migration, and a one-time stipend of $2,000 per employee in the plan. So those are the two options in front of us right now.
Okay. It's just, Michael, it's hard for us to, I gotta be able to go to my membership, 40% of them, and sell them something they've been avoiding for 4 years, right? That's the struggle on our side. And regardless of what I think or what you think about the CDHP, I personally like it. It works for me. I think it works for almost everybody. But we still have that struggle where we got to convince our members of that. And I think that's kind of where we were at with the HSAs at 2,000 and 3,600. It helps alleviate some of that fear. We went from 1,500, I think you priced it out at 700K to 2,000, which is 900K. And what we're proposing cost about 325,000 a year times 4 years. That's number one. The first year is only coming out of the fund balance, which is yours and ours. And then after that, it's part of the formulary. Maybe that's the angle we work on. Let's work on that side of the equation instead of a one-time HSA contribution that's short-lived. We talk about something more lasting, and at the end of the day, we have 28 to come back and talk. It helps us on our side to get that buy-in from our members, and we're still struggling with our retirees. That's where our big struggle is, you know, and we need to increase our health and benefits trust payment. We haven't even touched all that. In good faith, we're willing to step out with you again. This time we're asking you to trust us, right? We don't think it's that far of a stretch. We want what's best for the membership. We want what's best for the city. We want what's best for the citizens. We don't think we're wrong, but if we're going to go down that road, I need time to have Our Lady crunch the numbers and tell me what the premium should be. I need that. It's not something we can do today just I'm not a shoot from the hip. Well, I am kind of, sort of. But on something like that, that's so important that I need to really, really look at that, because the last thing I want to do is hurt my members, hurt the city, or hurt anybody in that respect. We're talking about a lot of money. We've made some tremendous progress. I'm gonna be honest, you know, we really have, and I think we're within striking distance of the insurance. Just asking you to take my hand. We'll do it together. We did it in 2020. We took your hand. You know, that's all we're asking. Help us.
Right. Help you. And I'll echo your comments. I mean, we care about the employee. We care about the city's budget. We have to budget on an annual basis, make sure we could afford what we're proposing long term, making sure we have sustainable health care. That's why we think that, keeping that in mind, that we are going out and meeting you, trying to meet you in the middle, and increasing one-time stipend for employees. And I understand that some employees are apprehensive about moving over, and I understand that. That's why I think if we do a $2,000 one-time stipend, in addition, you would have what the city already contributes, either $1,600 or $2,600. If you're an employee only, that covers your maximum out-of-pocket year one. If you're on the family plan, then it gets pretty close. So we think that that's us trying to meet you in the middle. Keeping in mind that we have to have a sustainable healthcare plan, and we think that this gets us closer to that plan. So that's what we decided as a team coming forward. We think that we heard you, you want recurring dollars in your HSA. We think that we do a pretty good job of providing a good amount of HSA dollars on a recurring basis. We've looked at other cities, we've looked at the private sector, and what we do is pretty top notch. We're one of the best as far as giving HSA dollars. So we think that this is a fair next step. We understand that 100% migration is a little scary, and we think that this meets you in the middle to help the employees.
Michael, we appreciate that. It's, that's not lost upon us, but can you elaborate as to the reluctance of the HSA increase on a yearly basis? What's the hang up?
Okay.
I understand what you're saying about, private sector and city employees and other groups. I get all that.
Mm-hmm.
But this is Corpus Christi Fire, City of Corpus Christi at the negotiating table, and this is where it has to happen.
Sure. Let me take a stab, and Desiree or Rebecca, if you would like to jump in, feel free to. Like I said, one is healthcare sustainability. I think increasing those dollars is, it sounds like an easy ask and something that we could do quickly, but like Desiree explained earlier, that is part of the formulary. So if we do increase those HSA dollars, then premiums are most likely going to increase in the future as well. And we want to try to keep this affordable for firefighters. And number two, like I said a second ago, and not to discount it, Johnny, but I think looking at what other cities are doing and what we're doing as civilians, what the police are doing, what private sector is doing, is important to us. And again, we feel like we are providing a fair amount of contribution to the employee. And actually, like I said a second ago, it's one of the highest contributions that we've seen in our comparables. So with those two things said, I mean, we want to make sure that we're able to afford this long term, and that kind of summarizes the reasoning behind it.
Okay.
Rebecca, Desiree, you guys have anything else?
I mean, I just concur, with Michael has said. I mean, I know that it is scary to fully migrate for the individuals who are currently on the PPO. But doing that $2,000 stipend, and then you got the additional that is reoccurring, it will help with that uncertainty, because that is something that's going straight into your account to help offset. I come from the private sector, and I would let you know that this is, for myself, this is the highest that I've ever seen. And I looked at others, because I came from that, to go and ask, hey, what are you guys doing? And it is extremely lower than what we are contributing. So I think it's a good faith effort that we are wanting to go work in that direction, to help with the folks that are currently on the PPO that would have to transition into the CDHP.
Okay, and the CDHPs are governed by the government. We know that the single deductible this year is going to 32. We know that in January it's going to 34. There's nothing to stop it from going to 4,000, is there? Well, you're looking confused. Not confused, but surprised it's not going to 34? We are under the impression that it's going to 3,400.
We have not gotten any numbers from IRS. IRS
Okay.
hasn't released that information yet.
It's coming.
We are anticipating another increase.
You bet it is. So, that's the kind of the thing that we're combating. And let's just say that our side's willing to step out with you in a one-time payment. Give us 5,000. 100% migration. We'll agree to your 1% reduction in the premiums. It's all going to work itself out in July of 2025. Give us 5,000. Let's do it. We're ready. This is a huge move for us, Mike. You know, really, and it's a huge move for you guys. That's not lost on us.
We feel the 2,000 is fair. I understand 5,000 is a request right now. We feel it's fair. We think it's a good move for the employee. We wouldn't recommend it if we didn't think so. We're pretty firm with the number. An alternative, like I mentioned earlier, is if we can't come to an agreement, we pull it off the table, concede to what we've been doing, which again, we don't agree with, but we'll concede and have that concession and move forward with a one plan calculation, and we could do that. So we think we have a really strong proposal, really fair proposal in front of us, and we stand by it.
All right, I think with that, let's just, I need to know what we're talking about on the premium side. So I need to get with my lady and let's just call it a night. We made huge progress today. We really have. I think we all agree to that. Let's just call it a night. Get together next week. I'll have my stuff. Again, this is great work today. The insurance is kind of a big deal, I think, for both of us. So let's do it that way. And I mean, it's 7:30. I go see my grandkids in the morning. I think we would feel more comfortable with that. Letting me talk to Our Lady and get a good handle on what we think the 100% migration on the premium side looks like. And if it's 1%, great. If it's 10, great. If it's nothing, that's great too.
Okay.
It's all going to work itself out at the next formulary. So. Good, guys?